If you ask me, I'm starting. Which tools do I need to have before I can start bonsai? The answer is quite simple. Pretty much none of them. Pruning. You can do that with a nice Japanese scissor. Or you go into your kitchen, you find yourself a sharp pair of scissors there. But good, sharp, thin bonsai scissors are such a pleasure to work with. Hey, welcome, this is Jelle, growing bonsai, and I am sitting next to a table full of bonsai tools. I have been doing bonsai now for about 15 years and I've accumulated a wide range of tools. But the question that I often get when people come to me for a workshop or online is, what tools do I really need? Let's start off with the 5 tools which I think are quite critical to have. Now, I'm not talking about fancy tools like this Japanese branch splitter or branch bender or heavy duty branch bender. 2 or 3 of them are unique tools to bonsai, the rest is quite common. If you're on a splurge, get these 3 tools. This is your Christmas wish list. Tell your partner, tell your kids, tell your parents. These are the 3 tools you want for Christmas. Let's start the top of the line with the least special tool that I think is in the top 5 of common tools. Number 5 are basic pruning scissors. Now, where do I get my scissors? You can get them in any bonsai store. One brand that I really like has these nice green boxes. This is Kaneshin, it is Japanese, and these are handmade. They are very sharp, they have pretty much no play, they're razor sharp and they're perfect for pruning. This one actually has my name engraved in it. Sorry, that was a little splurge on my side. Now, these scissors come in carbon steel, which will rust, but you also have them in stainless steel. They won't rust. Personal preference, the carbon steel. These are more easy to sharpen. These you could leave outside in the rain, but good tools you don't leave out in the rain. Tool number 2. Tool number 4. Now, that's a difficult pick. Which one do I think is least important of the ones that I still have laying around here? The wire clippers. These are heavy duty wire clippers with a snub nose. That means that if you remove the wire by clipping, you don't damage the bark as easily. You can also get them as a little scissor. With these, I typically wire my trees. So when I'm wiring, and let me get this out, you can hold these in your hand like this. You can wire with your fingers, and as you're working, you just grab the scissors and you clip. So this is a very nice little pair of scissors, but it only works on soft aluminium up to 3 mil, 4 mils maybe, and copper. Don't use it on anything over 1.5 mils. So those are simple wire clippers. Now, why did I put this on 4? Because it seems like wire clippers are very important to have. I also have these, a normal hardware store variety. This will work just as well, except for no snub nose. It's a little bit more clumsy to work with, so I do like my Japanese variety. Number 3. Repotting season is coming up, and that is where you use this tool the most. A root hook. Yes, a root hook. This is actually a specialist tool. What do you use it for? Quite simply, to scratch out substrate from a pot or a root. You can have them also in very nice handmade or industrial made. This was actually made by a friend of mine. If you haven't seen the video, I'll link to it at the end because that is a cool video. Number 2. Now we are really entering the bonsai tool domain. Concave cutters. These have a straight blade and they are used to go into the canopy and cut off branches. This way you don't have to go in between branches, but you can go slide it in. and cut off a branch, not your fingers. A concave cutter. This one is stainless steel. You can also get it in carbon steel. You can get it in small. You can get it in big. Key thing to keep in mind, the length of this blade does not define how big a branch you can cut. Well, actually it does, but it's not the same as the length of this blade. 1/3 of the height of the blade is roughly the thickness of the branch that you can safely cut off. Otherwise, you might bend or break the tool. Be very wary working on that wood, because very easily you chip the blade when you're using these in a tree. Bring me to the number 1 tool specialist for bonsai that I think is quite critical to have when you're starting off with bonsai, and those are still in the box, because I just got myself the smallest of small ones. This is called a knob cutter, similar to the concave cutter, but the edge of the blade is rounded. You have them in small in carbon, you have them in larger in carbon, and you have them in massive in carbon. And what you can see, this tip is rounded, and therefore once you have used your normal concave cutter to remove a branch, there's a little bit of a stub left and you want to get rid of that stub. This will help you remove the stub. You put it against the stump, a little bit over it, and then you pressure down and you cut. That way you can make a little hollow in the trunk. And that is important, because if you make a hollow, the bark will close over smoothly and your trunk will heal in a smooth fashion. So those are the top 5. What else do I use regularly? Do you really want to know all of them? Well, I'm using that or this as a tool in bonsai. Yes, a camera. Taking a picture of your tree from a bit of a distance shows you exactly what's wrong with your tree. Well, the tree looks a lot better in real life. That's because you project on a 2D image what is happening on a 3D image, but it does show you which branches are awkward. So during the styling, take a picture, look at the picture, and then decide what you want to add. So that's tool set number 6. So number 7, everybody has these probably in their home. Just a regular chopstick. And what do you use it for? Everything. This is actually a pretty good alternative to a root hook. It just isn't good enough, but this will work in a pinch. You can use it to remove substrate. You can remove it to get woolly aphids out of little corners. You can use it to twiggle the roots around to get substrate between the roots when you're repotting. Just a little bamboo chopstick. Works wonders. Number 8. Just a hobby knife. This is absolutely not a bonsai tool, but it is the most often used tool in my bonsai kit. A hobby knife. I like to sharpen the edge before I use it, but you can use it for cuttings. When you're air layering, when you're making dead wood, when you have a little branch that you just want to quickly snap off, if you have a wound that is not nice and clean and you want to clean off the edges. A hobby knife is probably the most important tool in the set, even though I didn't mention it as my number 1.
This is blunt.
Because it can be any sort of knife, but this is really nice. It has a stable grip, and of course, how does this work? You can take out the blade and replace it. And if I go on a workshop, I just fold it to carry. At $2.99, that's a good tool to have. Yin pliers. And it's not just for creating dead wood, because that would be boring. No, you also use it when you're wiring. You can grab the end of a tight wire or a thick wire and bend it. Or halfway in the wire, you grab the wire and you use it to position the branches. Pretty much quite a universal tool. Now, if you ask me, I'm starting. Which tools do I need to have before I can start bonsai? The answer is quite simple. Pretty much none of them. First starts often with pruning. You can do that with a nice Japanese scissor. Or you go into your kitchen, you find yourself a sharp pair of scissors there. Or maybe you have kids and there are scissors in their desk, and maybe in their desk there are scissors. But good, sharp, thin bonsai scissors are such a pleasure to work with. These are my preferred ones. They, I think, are called azalea scissors. They're very, very soft, very gentle, very long and thin, and I can get into very, very tight spaces in my trees. So this is the tool that after my pocket knife, I probably use most. Then if you come to the more specialist tools, either a concave or a knob cutter. Or if you're on a splurge, get these 3 tools. Assuming you have this at home. This you probably also have at home. But then in the form it's just a multi-tool. There's nothing special about this. So assuming you have these at home, don't worry about them. You can always get them in the Japanese variety. But then look for these 3 tools. This is your Christmas wish list. This is your Christmas wish list. This is your Christmas wish list when it comes to bonsai tool. A concave cutter, a knob cutter, and a pair of good Japanese scissors. If you have these 3, you can do pretty much anything you want with your bonsai toolkit. So tell your partner, tell your kids, tell your parents, these are the 3 tools you want for Christmas. All I want for Christmas, and of course if you have all these tools already, this is your wish list for Christmas. A trunk breaker, a trunk splitter deadwood tool, your fancy bending tool, or normal bending tool. This was handmade by a friend of mine. I don't know whether you can get them in the store, but these certainly are available. This was Jelle, growing bonsai with a very quick introduction to what bonsai tools do I actually need. Not which can I buy, well you can buy all of them, but you know what you need. See you next time.